You know how some experiences, you just can't seem to get over them? It feels like they're living on, not just in your head, but deep inside your body. Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today. We're going to break down the groundbreaking ideas from Dr. Bessel van der Kolk's incredible book, The Body Keeps the Score. We're going to explore how trauma can literally, physically reshape us, right down to our very cells. The book kicks off with this really powerful quote from Jessica Stern. See, trauma isn't just a bad memory. It's a fundamental interruption. It's like the story of your life is moving along, and then bam, something happens that just shatters the plot you thought you were living in.
And right there, that's the central question driving this whole thing. What happens when the story doesn't just get interrupted, but gets stuck? When a person is frozen in that moment of terror, forced to relive it again and again, long after the actual danger is gone.
To find the answer, the author takes us back to the 1970s. He was working with Vietnam veterans. Now, these guys were home. They were supposed to be safe, but for so many of them, the war was still happening inside. It never ended. He tells the story about a veteran named Tom who was just tormented by these awful nightmares. So the author offers him some medication to help them stop, but Tom says no. And why? He felt that if the nightmares stopped, it would be like abandoning his friends who died over there. It would mean their sacrifice was for nothing. And this is just such a critical insight. Tom's loyalty to his fallen friends was literally preventing him from living his own life. His present had become totally irrelevant. And this showed that trauma isn't just about having bad memories. It's a complete shift in who you are, where the past isn't the past at all. It's a living, breathing present. This just perfectly shows how trauma completely rewires your perception. In a study, veterans were shown those random Rorschach ink blots, and the results were wild. Most of them didn't see butterflies or faces. No, they saw combat. They saw images of death and destruction. The trauma was literally painted over everything they saw. And just as telling, the others, they saw nothing. Their imagination, their ability to just play with reality was completely gone. So this is absolutely key. Look at the difference here. A normal memory, that's a story. It has a beginning, a middle, an end. We can share it. But a traumatic memory is a whole different beast. It's not a story, it's a reliving. It's shattered into pieces, completely frozen in time, and the most terrifying part, it feels like it's happening right now, pulling the person out of the present and into this lonely, horrific reenactment. Okay, so if that's what trauma does, let's look at how it works inside the brain. To really get it, we've got to understand the basic wiring of survival. So real quick, think of your brain as having 3 layers, built from the bottom up. Down at the base, you've got the reptilian brain. It handles all the basic stuff, breathing, sleeping, survival. On top of that is the emotional limbic system, where our feelings live. And then the top layer, the newest part, is the rational cortex. That's our thinking, planning brain. Well, trauma hits those bottom 2 layers the hardest. And deep inside that emotional brain, there's this little part called the amygdala. The author has the perfect metaphor for it. It's the brain's smoke detector. It has one job, and one job only, to scan everything around you, every sight, sound, and smell, and just scream, danger, if it senses a threat. And its reaction is lightning fast. The second that smoke detector goes off, it unleashes a flood of stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. Your heart starts pounding, you breathe faster, your muscles get tight. Your whole body is ready to either fight or run for your life before your thinking brain even has a clue what's going on. But here's the problem. For someone who's been traumatized, that smoke detector gets stuck on high alert. It becomes faulty. It starts screaming danger at things that are totally harmless. A car backfiring, a certain smell, the way a stranger looks at you. The body is constantly flooded with these stress hormones, trapping you in a state of survival, making it almost impossible to ever feel safe again. And this constant state of alarm, it's not just in your head. It takes a huge toll on your physical body. And this gets us right to the heart of the book's main idea. This is it. This is the title. You can try to push it down, pretend it didn't happen, tell yourself you're fine, but your body never forgets. Those stress hormones just keep pumping day in and day out, leading to all sorts of physical issues, autoimmune diseases, heart problems, chronic pain. Your body is literally keeping a running tally of the trauma, and eventually it will make itself heard. This deep disconnect from the body often leads to a condition called alexithymia. It literally translates to no words for feelings. When you're cut off from your body's signals, you can't actually identify what you're feeling. You might look absolutely furious but say you feel fine, or you might be shaking with fear but deny being scared. You're completely out of touch with your own inner reality. Now, if you're thinking this is something that only happens to a small number of people, well, the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study, or ACE study, was a massive wake-up call. And get this, it wasn't a study of some high-risk group. It was done on over 17,000 mostly white, middle-class Americans who had good jobs and health insurance. The findings were, well, they were shocking. The study found that 1 out of every 4 people, just let that sink in, 1 in 4 had been physically abused by a parent. And not just a little bit, but badly enough to leave marks.
And it didn't stop there. It revealed that 1 in 5, a full 20% of this group, had been sexually molested as a child.
And finally, 1 out of every 8 had grown up in a home where they watched their mother get beaten or hit. The takeaway was crystal clear. Trauma isn't some fringe issue. It is a hidden epidemic right in the fabric of our society. So if trauma is wired this deep into our brains and our bodies, how in the world do you start to heal? Okay, let's look at the path forward. This right here is probably the most important idea in the whole book. Healing from trauma isn't just about talking about what happened over and over again. The point isn't to just keep telling the horrible story. The real goal is to help your body and your nervous system finally, truly feel that the danger is over, that it's safe right now. So real healing has to start from the bottom up, from the body. It really boils down to 3 key things. First, you have to develop what's called interoception. That's just the ability to feel and be aware of your inner world. Second, you learn to just notice what's happening inside your body without judging it. And third, by doing that, you start to mend that broken connection between your mind and your body so they can finally start talking to each other again. And that leaves us with this final crucial question. The book talks about a lot of ways to do this. Things like yoga, mindfulness, different kinds of therapy. But every path starts with the courage to turn your attention inward. Because if it's true, if the body really does keep the score, then the biggest challenge and the only real path to healing is learning how to finally listen to what it's been trying to tell you all along.